So if you've seen part 1 of this video, you've seen the struggling plants, and sometimes those strugglers test our resources, our patience, and very often our bank accounts. So let's cheer ourselves up with having a look at the things that are going well, and there are plenty of things going well at the moment in the autumn greenhouse. And we're going to start with my Sharry Baby. So, I mean, Sharry Baby thrives for everybody, doesn't it? Have a sniff of that, isn't that fantastic? And we've got another big spike here. Now this is only quite a small plant, so this one was actually repotted, not 2019. I've had it a while. 2020, 2023, I think that was the last time it was repotted. Gosh, doesn't time fly? I could have sworn I did that last year, unless I've just not written on it. So I've got a couple of these now because I did divide them. I made a video on that. So that looks fantastic, and that fills the greenhouse with its wonderful aroma. So yeah, all my cyclamen are coming out. Not just talking about plants in particular, but gadgets. So I don't know if you might have noticed, I've been looking around, see these little cage things? Now I saw these on Brad's channel. You know, Brad's greenhouse, he has started making videos again. And he suggested these. Apparently they're used in bonsai plants, and what it is for people who want to feed the plants but just want something that'll kind of do it for the season. So you put your little slow release pellets in there, and then when you water it, you just kind of water over the top. You can see in the past where I've put these things in, and you know, very often when you water your plant, they might not even get touched by the water, whereas if you put it in a little cage like that, it stops them from just kind of floating off, and when you water it, you know that it's going to actually drain through and, you know, take some of that goodness down into the roots. So I have bought myself a bunch of those very, very cheaply, and I've popped them in all the plants that need them. So moving on to the Streptocarpus, again we have turned a corner, I think. If you remember, what happened was all the plants were looking dreadful. I repotted a lot of them. I actually threw some away because I didn't know what the problem was, but it turned out that it was bush snails. So now at least we have some blooms. I'm not saying this is the best showing I've ever had, but don't forget it is October. The best season is over with, but at least I have something, and hopefully I shall have something else soon, because I bought a bunch more, some different ones. Coalescence, Paulescence, and I've got a different plant altogether here. These are Gesneriads still. Alsobia dianthiflora, lace flower vine, but it is a Gesneriad. So I'm hoping to see something a little bit different. Took some cuttings of that one. What was that one? Streptocarpus glandulosissimus. Gosh, that's a mouthful. I took a couple of cuttings of that. That seems to do much better when it's small. So still on Gesneriads, what about that? So this one is an Achimenes Stands Delight, and that is looking rather marvellous, I think. I particularly like it hanging like that. Now these do die down once the season is over, like completely disappear below soil level, but you don't need to do anything with them other than not water them that much, and then they come back. And still on Gesneriads, let's just move over to here, because we have another one. I think this is another Achimenes, and this one is Imperial Light. Isn't that beautiful? And that probably will be on my thumbnail. I think that is a gorgeous plant. Again, dies down over well, whenever it's finished flowering. You know, it's not summer and winter in the greenhouse, there isn't one. So yeah, that's another spectacular win for me at the moment. This one always thrives, this orchid. Big long name on it. I know somebody will ask me what it is and I forget, and I'm not even sure that it is what it says it is. But we have another load, another spike coming there, another load of blooms coming, and there's another spike there, and I've already cut a couple of spikes off. So this one seems to thrive on, I'm just looking for the label actually, it seems to thrive on neglect, which is great because I'm good at that. Look at all those roots. Now it's not actually in this pot, it's in a pot, if you know what I mean, but when you look at that, my first thought originally was, oh God, I've got to repot it, I've got to repot it. And somebody said to me, why? If it's doing so well, just leave it. It's flowering every year for you. It might look a mess, but it's doing what you want it to do. So just leave it. So I have. It seems to have worked. So still on thriving things. Well, of course, begonias always thrive for me in here. Now, you've not seen this one for a while. This is Begonia Black Knight. I've had this in the kitchen in the house, and it does better in good light. So I know everybody likes to think of begonias as low light, but that doesn't mean they don't do better in good light. And now that I've brought it in here, it seems to be kind of reviving back up a bit. That was another one of the Gesneriads. So that one did loads of yellow flowers for me for a couple of months, and that one's dying back now, so you can see it's beginning to go yellow. Begonia Solid Silver always does well, very easy to propagate as well, as all begonias are. Silver Lace, I don't think I've showed that one for a while. Candy Queen. We've got Begonia Curly Fireflush, always a favourite. My fern back here, my Phlebodium. So this one, it's not just a regular Phlebodium. So this one is, oh my goodness, it's that long since I've said the name, I can't remember. Let's have a look. Phlebodium aureum Davana. So that's not been repotted since 2020. I can't get the label back in now, and it just kind of sits in that corner and I can't reach it, and I just reach over with my sprayer's lance. Nice to see some new pictures, and talking of pictures, they're just kind of re-acclimatising to the greenhouse, I think. This one seems to have been ages. And this one opening up, that's going to be spectacular, that one, when that one comes. That's big for me. So this is lowii crossed with ventricosa. And they've all been repotted as well, so that's obviously knocked them back as well. This orchid over here, it's going over a bit, you can see, with these darker flowers. It's had a load of spikes on it, but again, that's another one that really smells nice. And over here, we've got some Begonia Black Fang. What's left of it is one of my pelargoniums, but it's not kind of emanating from the begonia. So that one is Rushmore Rowan, and that one suffered because I've sprayed it that many times because it got green fly. I can't wait for these Cyclamen to come out. They're going to look spectacular when they come out. We've got another little one, that's Vectis Glitter. This one's just emerged. That one is Green Gecko, Begonia Green Gecko. And I don't normally grow aroids, I did in the hothouse, but I've had this one, I brought this one over from the hothouse when I closed it down. And this one is Syngonium albo variegata. So I've had it a few years, it's grown quite nicely, lovely leaves on it, but it will get knocked back in the winter because obviously aroids don't like to go down to 12 degrees. Here we've got the tiger paw, Begonia tiger paw, which is, as usual, full of all sorts of different colours and loads of eyelashes. And that one is kind of hiding down there, isn't it? Now, this begonia here has done spectacularly well this year. There's not many flowers left on it now, but you can see what it did look like. And it's just, I love all these airy branches and airy leaves. So this one is Begonia Boliviensis Firecracker. So this is a tuberous one, so it will die down, but we seem to have it in the right place. I did put it out for a little bit, so that's done particularly well. This Begonia soli-mutata has done better than it's ever done. I don't know whether that's because it's been so hot in here. I did used to notice it does suffer once those temperatures go down. So that's looking nice. I think that is a species, isn't it? Soli-mutata. Longiciliata, doing nicely. As always, dead easy to propagate. I think we'll finish on what I'm really enjoying at the moment, which obviously, if you've been looking at some of my more recent videos, is the propagation side of things. So, oh, another one that I've just noticed that's doing particularly well. So this begonia, oh gosh, truncatifolia, this one is a hybrid, but that is not, it doesn't look anything like a begonia at the moment, but that just struggled along for 12 months with 2 leaves, 2 tiny leaves, and since I've put it in this environment, it's gained 2 more leaves and it's gone a lot bigger. So what else have we got? Dracopelta, that's done fantastically well since I put it in here. To be honest, it was doing okay out of the grow tent, but it's doing even better now. And oops, until I knock it over. And metallica, I love that. That's beautiful. That's put on a new leaf as well since I put it in here. Begonia Sinbad, I bought this as a rooted, well actually it was an unrooted cutting, and if ever there are, you know, when you buy things from plant people, they don't send it in a proper box, it's not wrapped properly. Well, this was the perfect way of doing it. I'll show you because it's worth remembering this. So they actually put it online as an unrooted cutting. It was £10 for an unrooted cutting, and it arrived in this packet. Inside that, strapped to that, and not only was it a rooted cutting, even though it was supposed to be an unrooted cutting, but there were 2. So talk about over delivering, that's just what you want, isn't it? And look how spectacular these leaves are. Even though I'm trying to focus on species, I saw Begonia Sinbad, that's what this one is, on a video on Summer Rain Oaks, and she was talking to Don Miller, and they showed this hybrid. I think it was a new hybrid at the time. It was a couple of years ago, maybe longer than a couple of years ago, and I just fell in love with it, had to have one. And it looked to me like they'd been rooted in water, these, but I've put it in a really, really free draining mix, and it's growing very happily. It's perked up, so it's doing well in here in the grow tent. This one, CF retinervia, again, this one's flowered, so it's doing particularly well. I quite like those cute flowers. Nice new leaf on it, the rhizome's looking good. I think that probably needs to go in a more free draining compost. I'm beginning to get the idea finally that these need to go in very, very free draining compost. I need to think more in terms of begonia species being like orchids. So you can see I've got tons and tons of species seeds. You don't want to know how much I've spent on species seeds, but not a single one coming up yet. Nothing. So it might all turn out to be a complete waste of time. So this is future Jeff just nipping in here just to show you me sowing these begonia seeds and showing you how tiny they are. To say the dust is, it's just an understatement because they are really, really, really small. And these that you can see here are Begonia Sharry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'll go through my substrate at some point that I've nicked off somebody else. So you can see I've got many more seeds here coming up. But look, less than 2 weeks later, I know you've got to really focus in on them here, but you can see tiny little seeds coming up, and those are the ones that you've just seen sown, Begonia Sharry, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a second, because these are really fascinating plants. So yes, we've got some germination, and also Pengchingii. Again, I'll tell you about that in a second. Only one this time, but it's a little bit more substantial, if you can call that substantial. A little 2-leafed plant popping up there, and it really is exciting, and I've forgotten how exciting it was actually propagating and sowing from seed. So let's have a look at these actual species plants here. So I'll just tell you a little bit more about these species. So start off with Begonia Pengchingii. So it is a true species. It's from Taiwan. It grows on sheer limestone cliffs. You can see here the limestone, just a few inches of moss and rainwater keeping it alive. So that gives you an idea of how to grow it. It's very tiny, it's slow slow growing but incredibly beautiful in its own quiet way, but it's also quite endangered because it only grows in these very specific areas. And then moving on to Sericanura, this comes from misty cloud forests of Peru and Bolivia, again clings to damp rock faces. The name literally means silky veined, so when it matures, as you can see, these leaves kind of shimmer with silver underlight, and they're absolutely stunning, and that just gives you an idea of why I find these so fascinating. And we've got plenty more to come with a little bit of luck. I've also set up a prop box down here. I won't be able to get the lid off because I can't do it with one hand, but you can see the kind of thing that's going on down there, and I'm going to do more of that. I've also set up over here a great big prop box. There's nothing in it yet, and I've bought a big heat mat to go underneath. I just have to decide where it's going to go because I think it's lacking a bit of light down there. I might have to buy a small one and put it underneath there like an LED if I can find a flipping socket somewhere, because there's that much electricity going on in here, not that many things plugged in. And the last thing that I was going to mention is that, I joined the American Begonia Society. Actually, I was a member last year too, but the videos are fantastic. They're really enjoyable, and they tell you all about how wonderful these species begonias are. Completely different to the British version. The British version is all about the large, blousy flowered show type begonias or the bedding plant type begonias. The others don't get a mention, whereas the ABS is totally different, all about the species. Quite an interesting difference there. And I think when you do mention begonias to anybody in the UK, all they know of is the two that I've just mentioned, and they're missing out on such a wonderfully diverse and spectacularly specialised genus of plants. Okay, so that's my thriving plants and struggling plants. So with a greenhouse, you've always got that, to be honest, no matter what time of year. You've always got some that are doing particularly well and some that aren't. And that's the joy of it, isn't it? So can you tell me what your plants are like at the moment? Are yours struggling? And what is thriving at the moment? What's looking particularly spectacular? And why? Because it's those stories that make it all so interesting, isn't it? So I will disappear into the light, and for now, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.